If you've ever felt like your body is just holding on to fat no matter what you do, you are not alone. And there's a reason why belly fat, thigh fat, and arm fat are the hardest to lose. And it's not just about diet and exercise alone. And today, I'm gonna be sharing with you the game-changing fat loss method that no one is talking about until right now. Hey, I'm Trevor here, and I've personally helped my patients lose a total of more than 260,000 inches from their midsection, thighs, and arms combined. So you're doing all the right things. You're eating clean, you're working out, but that last bit of stubborn fat just won't budge. And here's the fastest way to burn it off, and no one is talking about it. Let's dig in right here. So first section we're going to talk about is why stubborn fat is so hard to actually burn and why it's not your fault. So not all fat is created equal. So belly fat, thigh fat, arm fat, all those areas here, they hold onto fat more stubbornly than other areas here. And there's several reasons with this. The blood flow problem. So stubborn fat areas have less circulation. So the belly, the thighs, the arms, and all the fat that lies there has less circulation. It makes it harder for the body to actually mobilize and burn that fat in those particular areas. Of course, that's not the most convenient thing we want to hear, but that's really one huge thing that's happening. And then this leads to what we call the hormone trap. So this is high cortisol levels, this is insulin resistance, and this is estrogen dominance. Big words, but basically it makes those areas, the midsection, thighs, and the upper arms, it makes those areas store fat like a magnet. So essentially when we have stress in our lives, our adrenal glands, they release cortisol in response. And then we have insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is when we have, say, poor health habits, say lack of sleep, we have high stress, we're eating unhealthy foods, we're not exercising, we're sedentary, these type of things. Then basically what happens is we have our bloodstream, we have sugar molecules in our bloodstream. Our pancreas, when that happens, it releases insulin to grab onto the sugar to bring it to the actual cells to be able to utilize as energy. But the thing is that when it grabs the sugar to bring it to the cells to utilize as energy, it doesn't work. It just bounces off those cells because it's a fatty sheath that's essentially lining those receptor sites, and essentially the sugar cannot be absorbed. So it stays in the bloodstream, and then we have high blood sugar, we have prediabetes, we have diabetes. That's essentially where insulin resistance is leading to right here. And then we have estrogen dominance. So we have basically the hormones and they're fluxing there. And again, because of these, this is why those areas, the midsection, thighs, and the upper arms, they store fat like a magnet here. So how do we fix it? We need to actually attack that stubborn fat differently. And this is where LED red light laser lipo comes into play here. Fat loss in terms of targeted fat loss, in terms of spot reduction, it's been said to be a myth, but I can tell you it is not a myth. We do it every single day. We've been doing it for years with almost 35,000 patients. So at the end of the day, we have proof upon proof upon proof, and that's really all that matters. And what we've seen after working with just tens of thousands of patients is that no matter what we do, myself included, it was always my midsection, no matter what we do, we get close to where we want to be, but we have those stubborn targeted areas that just will not get to where we want them to be no matter what we do. And this is where red light laser lipo has been an absolute game changer, not only for me, but for all of our patients as well. And here's exactly how it works. So the laser lipo penetrates through the skin and it goes into the fat cells. And essentially what happens to the fat cells is they temporarily rupture. So essentially they open up temporarily, okay? So it's almost like if you have a baseball hat on and you take that hat off for a little bit, okay? And then the contents of the fat cell, which is water, fatty acid, and glycerol, they empty into the body and then they're naturally excreted through the body. So number one, we're using them as energy. Number two, it actually leaves through the sweat glands, through our pores here. Number three, it leaves through our body's lymphatic system, which is our internal natural waste system. And then also the body actually is going to excrete them through our waste and also through our urine as well. So it's naturally flushed from the body. And essentially what happens is the fat cells end up going up from the size of a grape down to the size of a raisin. It's fantastic, all right? So that's actually how it works. And what it does is it actually boosts circulation in that stubborn fat area, and it increases blood flow. Like I said, it increases that lymphatic drainage, meaning that the lymphatic system actually speeds up and it actually helps to burn that body fat where it would normally be struggling. And the great thing about it is there's no downtime, no surgery, no pain, it's just results. And unlike traditional lipo, when we hear about liposuction, there is pain. Unlike that, there are no needles, There are no incisions. There are no recovery time. You essentially lay down and relax for 7 minutes, and that's basically between 3 and 5 minutes is going to be max actual penetration and max effect. And we just go 7 minutes to give it a little bit extra here. But with our settings, max effects happens between 3 and 5 minutes here. We go 7 minutes, and that is it. And again, there's no recovery time. And the thing is it actually works passively while you relax. It works 24/7. So it doesn't only work during that 7-minute treatment. Essentially, those cells are staying open for roughly about 36 to 48 hours afterwards. And the contents are releasing from those cells during that period of time here. And your body actually naturally does the rest. If our diet and exercise are not enough, this speeds up that fat loss where your body is stuck in those targeted trouble areas like the midsection, the thighs, and the upper arms. So now let's talk about why this laser lipo is such a game changer, specifically for midsection fat loss here, is because it targets fat directly. So unlike cardio or diets, those actually help reduce overall body fat all throughout the body, and it tends to leave those stubborn areas till last. We all know this. But what this does is this actually zeroes in on those stubborn areas. So again, we talk about, targeted fat loss and spot reduction, it is a myth. It is not a myth. And essentially what we're doing with our patients actually the first time they're coming in is we're guaranteeing them measurable results on the spot, or we give them $50 for their time. That's how certain we are about our results. And here's the thing. We don't give any $50 refunds at all because we get results over and over and over again. So another thing that this does in terms of why it's such a game changer, it reduces inflammation and bloating in those particular targeted areas, especially in that midsection. It helps that body eliminate trapped toxins because that is essentially what's happening in those areas. It's not only fat cells, but inside the fat cells, this is where our body actually stores trapped toxins. And what we're doing is we're releasing those. So we're releasing toxins, and it actually makes fat harder to lose. So when we have those stored toxins, essentially it's almost like they just hold on. So by actually opening those fat cells and letting the contents go out and letting our body naturally excrete those, not only the toxins, but also the rest of the contents of the fat cells, it just makes fat loss in that area that much more efficient and that much faster. And another thing that it does here in terms of why it's such a game changer, it actually tones and tightens the skin. So it not only burns that fat, but it also helps to tighten that skin over time as well. So we work with actually a lot of mothers who've had children, and they say they have, stretched out, they have extra skin in that area, and it really does firm and it really does shrink that actual extra skin area to the point where it's absolutely notable, and it's game changer for them as well. And many of our patients go from, say, wearing a one piece to saying, I never thought I'd wear a two piece again, and here I am, look at my picture, and that's really the proof in the pudding right there. So fixing this in terms of how it's such a game changer right here, how we fix this is if we're doing everything right, but we're still struggling, this is the missing piece. And we see it day in and day out. So let's talk about how we can actually maximize results so it actually works even faster. So when we combine that red light laser lipotherapy with fat burning nutrition plan, it's a game changer right there. So you may have heard me talk about our 15 and 30 program. And this is our patient program that we actually give to our patients when they come in so they can lose up to 15 pounds and or 15 inches in the first 30 days. And this is a perfect program for it. I'm just gonna give you a quick outline here. And the best way to think about it is like this. What is your dream body weight? We'll just say that your dream body weight is 140 pounds. We'll just say that for example. So how this works is you want to be going 140 grams of protein. So whatever your dream body weight is, you want to actually eat that in grams of protein per day. And then you want to take that number, 140, and multiply it by 10. And that is 1,400 calories in this particular case. So we would actually say, okay, well, how many calories are in 140 grams of protein? So what we do is we actually take that 140 grams, we put it into a nutrition calculator like MyFitnessPal or anything like that, and let's just say it is 900 calories. So it's all 140 grams of protein equals 900 calories. When we go 1,400 minus 900, that equals 500 calories left. And what you're doing is that remaining 500 calories, you're eating throughout the day with fruit. And essentially that's what you're doing is you're eating fruit with that. So there is, with your protein, you're getting protein and natural fats because when you're eating the animal products, let's just say you're eating a combination of beef, chicken, turkey, eggs, and protein powder, right? To equal that 140 grams of protein. There's not only protein in that, but there's also natural fat that happens in there as well. And the remaining is going to be carbohydrates in the form of fruit carbs. fructose. And that's essentially how the 15 and 30 program works right there. And again, if you need to actually listen to that, just rewind that. And that is in a nutshell so simple, and that's been so game changing. So when we actually combine these type of treatments, these laser lipo treatments with this fat burning nutrition plan, boom, it absolutely crushes it for our patients. Another way how we can maximize the results of this laser lipo so it works even faster is staying hydrated. So this helps our body really flush out that released fat so much more efficiently. And another way we can do this is use this as part of a full body transformation plan. So it's not just about shrinking fat, but it's about actually building the best version of ourselves. So it's not just a one and done situation. This is actually a complementary treatment. The red light laser lipotherapy is complementary. So if you like to walk, say you're doing that for exercise, fantastic, and you're eating well, and you're drinking plenty of water, this is going to be amazing in terms of a complementary add-on to this to absolutely hyper accelerate everything that you're doing. It latches on and it absolutely speeds everything up here. So the fix is this. This is not a magic bullet. It is a tool. It is an add-on, and we want to use it. When we use it the right way, the results absolutely happen very fast and extremely satisfying too. So there it is. Now you know the fastest way to actually burn that stubborn fat that nobody is talking about here. So if you're liking this so far, this content, stick around. I've got way more fat loss shortcuts coming your way. Again, I'm Trevor Bucheri. Thank you so much for investing your time with me. I know it is your most valuable asset, and I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you and your time. Give your best to the rest of your day. Take care.